Now, he then offers numerous predictions about what he thought would occur in the near future, which would be 10 years from 2000, my brain is going so fast. I just got my tongue in front of my eye teeth. I couldn't see what I was saying. But anyway, 1970. Okay. Now, Salem Kirban was not some crazy, wild psychic or a Bible, or a crystal ball gazer, but he was literally one of the most respected teachers of Bible prophecy and had written many books, read by millions of Bible-believing Christians. Thank you, sweetheart. And the thing is, he even has his own Bible out. Keep in mind, though, that these predictions were made back in 1970 with a view toward what he, as a respected fundamentalist, what he felt would occur. Now, folks, listen. I want you to keep this all in mind, and let's look at some of his predictions as he's warning Christians back in 1970. Bible-believing Christians, okay? He predicts by 1980, because of the problem of air pollution, people will carry oxygen rejuvenation kits in their purses and pockets. That sea levels will rise at least 4 feet. That the work week will be reduced to 4 days and then 3 days a week. That the penny will be discontinued. That marijuana will be legalized by the government. That the capital of the United States will move from Washington, D.C. This is all supposedly taking place before the 80s were over. The U.S. team would land on Mars. That New York City, now keep in mind this guy is a probably one of the most respected Bible teachers in the 70s and 80s and early 90s before he kind of went off the scene. That New York City would lay waste by an earthquake or a hurricane, that over 1 million people would die as a result, that the amount of sunlight reaching the earth would be reduced by 1/2, that flood rationing will be instituted in the United States, that fresh fruits and vegetables will all but disappear, that the Mosque of Omar will be destroyed by an Arab-Israeli conflict, that the U.S. government will control all medical facilities, that missionaries will be banned from all Africa, that gas ration stamps will allocate only 3 gallons per week to each family, that automobiles will be banned from the major cities, and bicycle lanes will be open on many major highways. Okay? He predicted that the U.S. will cease to exist as an independent acting nation. It will be a part of the United States of Europe. That the guillotine will be introduced in America in an effort to scare criminals. That a head transplant will be undertaken successfully on a well-known personality. Maybe that happened. I don't know. Private industry will establish learning centers to replace conventional schools. Schools will be used as living quarters because there's such an overpopulation in America. Remember back then everybody's terrified because we're going to have a massive amount of overpopulation. Selected students will learn by having sensing devices implanted in their brain, which will be hooked up to central computers. And the Social Security number, now listen to where this is going. The Social Security number will be used to gain entrance into hospitals, supermarkets, department stores, and buy gasolines, and it will be indelibly placed on each individual's right hand. Of course, back then, that was the mark of the beast. Okay? Now, how many can tell, when you listen to this, as funny and as out of touch that this sounds to us today? At that point, this was very seriously believed and feared by millions of Bible-believing Christians who were convinced that Salem Kirban knew what he was talking about. And yet, why are we afraid to openly rebuke this type of biblical fortune-telling is wrong? Why is it? Because the Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 14:29, it commands us to judge prophetic statements. Now, when was the last time you've been in church? This is Assembly of God Church. You guys believe in prophecy and giving messages, tongues, and interpretation. When's the last time you saw it judged? Okay. Back in 1979, there's a book called Will Christ Return by 1988? 101 Reasons Why. Maybe some of you that were around back then will remember this, because one of the things that this book basically was known for is that the guy said that in Brussels, Belgium, there was a huge computer that covered a street corner in Brussels, Belgium. It was so big, they just so happened to call it the Beast. Okay? And here's what it says on page 86. The computer would assign a number to every person on the earth in the form of a laser tattoo. Then through infrared scanners, this invisible tattoo would appear on a screen. And for years, you would hear that. Of course, Jesus didn't come back in 88. 101 reasons why he didn't come. Well, of course, many of you will remember Edgar Weisnitz's book called 88 Reasons Why. See, that one guy had 101 reasons. Weisnitz had 88. Kind of had a nice little touch to it. 88 Reasons Why Jesus come in 88. I always loved his name, Wise Nut. Okay? And I don't mean that to be critical. He was a genius. He was a Christian. I do not doubt he was a believer. He was a sincere believer. He wanted this to be true. He was a NASA engineer. He forgot more than I'll ever learn. Except, you know what? He made a really stupid mistake. He said, emphatically, that somewhere between September 11th and September 13th, 1988, Jesus was definitely going to come back. How do you know he's going to come back in that time? Well, because that happens to be tied in with the celebrations of the Jewish calendar. And that's what Jesus meant when he says, no man knows the day or the hour, but we know it has to be one of 3 days. Now that's the rationale of all this. Well, obviously his proofs were based on a collection of dates and calculations from Bible and historical factors. It started off that 300,000 copies of the book were sent to ministers all over America. An additional 4.5 million copies were sold in bookstores all over America. There was hardly a church in America that wasn't affected by this in some way. Of course, we were evangelists. Even then, we'd been on the road 10 years by that time. I got myself in trouble because I actually preached at churches that would use this guy's logic and his books and teach in Sunday school that Jesus was going to come. And of course, I made it very clear that it was wrong, and that it was wrong for you to use that to say. Of course, they got mad, and they never had me back. Of course, Jesus didn't show up in 88. I remember very explicitly getting up that morning, and the pastor's wife was ticked off at John Muncie. I said, if you have to change your life one bit between now and then, there's something wrong with your walk with God. Of course, I just said, you know what? I can tell you emphatically he's not going to come on September 11th, 12th, or 13th, 88. Well, of course, Weisnick went so far as to say, quote, only if the Bible is in error and that I'm wrong. And I say that to every preacher in town. If there was a king in this country, I would gamble with my life. I would stake my life on Rosh Hashanah 88. Well, obviously, most Christian leaders rejected that. However, there were some that joined his bandwagon, such as Paul and Jan Crouch of TBN. Total biblical nonsense sometimes. You can get. By the way, did I tell you I might offend somebody here tonight? Let me tell you something. You watch enough of TBN in 24 hours, your turnout is as confused as a termite in a yo-yo. Now, don't get mad at me because I'm telling you the truth. Now, hold on. TBN altered their regular programming for those dates of September 11th through 13th. They ran videotapes of pre-recorded shows dealing with the rapture. Special programming included special instructions for those who happened to discover that their family members and friends had been raptured and how they were going to be able to handle the Great Tribulation. Well, when nothing happened, by the end of September 13th, Weisnick revised his prediction, suggesting that the rapture would happen at 10:55 a.m. on September 15th. When that failed, he again revised it to October the 3rd. Even when that date passed, Weisnick remained undaunted, and he was interviewed by Christianity Today and says the evidence is all over the place that it is going to be in a few weeks anyway. After a few weeks had transpired, Weisnett finally saw his error.